have been reinstated, according to data reviewed by NBC News.
People who know how to play the game in the white supremacist spaces, who know how to get people radicalized subtly over time. Those are the people that are.
As if leftists have been calling black reactionaries house N-words. Yeah, I mean, I've never done that. So, and no, I don't think that is an acceptable thing to say, especially if you're a white person. I mean, if you're a black person, you can say whatever the fuck you want. But like a white person should not ever say that.
Coming back.
I'm talking about Bill Maher.
Andrew Anglin, the founder of one of the most influential neo-Nazi websites, just one of hundreds of formerly banned users, now back on the platform after Musk's Thanksgiving tweet that amnesty begins next week. Meanwhile,
this is an insane fucking move, by the way. Like, dude, you're crazy. Like, then why are you banning Kanye? You know what I mean? Like, why? Why are you banning artists formerly known as Kanye, now known as Ye? Okay, sorry. Like, that's that. So what did he do? He didn't do shit. Like, in comparison to fucking Andrew Anglin, you know? I have 5 hours of your day. FD Signifier has a really good vid on why he won't do a vid on Ye and Kyrie. I already talked to FD Signifier on why he won't do a vid. He claimed incitement to violence. However, what Kanye did not is Kanye did is not a violation of the law, and he said only people who do illegal things would say off. Yeah, like it doesn't even work in his own like limited fucking way. It doesn't work even in his own limited like idiotic way of trying to make it work. Like you're making it up as you go along. Okay? And it's very obvious that you are making it up as you go along. That's it. It's fucking so stupid. But that's the point. That's what everyone does, okay? That's literally the entire point. That's why you bought the Twitter, so you could police speech in the way that you want it. Kind of like Twitch. My friend, anyone who has ever talked about free speech seriously and knowledgeably on the matter understands that there are still arbitrary guidelines that you can use and also legal restrictions on speech, right? I mean, slander, libel, these are things that are not a part of free speech. Revenge porn is not free speech. Okay, child porn is not free speech. Porn that is like made without the consent of either party or about someone who's incapable of consent is not a part of free speech. These are understandable regulated instances that everyone agrees on. Death threats, right? So there it is. That's the reality. You need to understand that. Okay, and then there's also hate speech that everybody understands should not be within the confines of what is allowed in a particular private space like Twitter or anywhere else. And that's more an overall vibes-based limitation, okay? It's speech with consequences. Hate speech is protected speech under free speech guidelines in the United States of America, nowhere else. However, having said that, there is a vibes-based understanding of like what is a big no-no and completely unacceptable. For example, as far as vibes-based no-nos, I always like to use the example of Blake Neff. Blake Neff used to be Tucker Carlson's writer and producer. Blake Neff was outed as someone who was a straight-up white supremacist on one of these like white supremacist anonymous forums, and he immediately got fired. And not a single peep was made about Blake Neff being fired from the Tucker Carlson broadcast. Tucker Carlson is supposed to be the big free speech defender. Why the fuck did they fire him? Because that was one of those moments where, like, you know, everybody understood, okay, well, this guy's like an out and about Nazi. Same with Kanye West. Sorry, artist formerly known as Kanye West, now known as Ye. When you go out and you just straight up say that you're a Nazi, then everyone is like, oh, okay, that makes sense. No, that's like not acceptable. Within reason/reasonable doubt law, not vibes-based. I think it is vibes-based. Now, having said that, though, most people that argue on the basis of free speech are not actually talking about ways that free speech is restricted at the legal level in this country. For example, the treatment of whistleblowers, like true whistleblowers, not like Matt Taibbi and Elon Musk, but like actual whistleblowers that go to jail, like Chelsea Manning, or actual whistleblowers that have to live in exile, like Edward Snowden. Okay, that is real violations of free speech, like the legal violations of free speech. Okay, people also don't consider BDS laws, like anti-BDS laws in places like Texas, where you have to sign a waiver to become a fucking teacher, even in a public school, that says you will never participate in any kind of completely legal protests under the banner of boycott, divest, and sanctions on Israel. Like, that's a direct violation of the First Amendment. And a lot of states have that. A lot of states can openly make you sign a waiver that says you will never be able to you will never be able to fucking, what do you call it? You know, participate in protesting Israel, which is an incredibly specific thing, and it's completely psychotic. Okay, you actually need to do that in the U.S. Yes, a lot of states have it, which is crazy. So, so that's something that you need to understand when we're having this conversation. Like, there are real restrictions of free speech, but I've never heard from these fucking weird right-wingers that love talking about free speech when it comes to defending hate speech on those actual blatant violations. Okay?
Well, the billionaire cutting the company staff, including those dedicated to monitoring abuse and hate speech.
Musk is setting a tone of permissibility for the kind of behavior that had people shown the door in the first place.
After Musk acquired the site, slurs against Black Americans tripled.
I think if you consider what Kanye West is doing on the platform to be a blatant violation or like an incitement of violence, which I agree, I think that the promotion and advocacy for Nazi ideology, white supremacist ideology, is a promotion of violence, because Nazi ideology hinges on doing violence to an entire group of people. Then you can't have Andrew Anglin on the platform. Then you can't have any of the other Nazis on the platform. That's it. It's a vibes-based thing because it's nebulous and hard to define, but really easy to identify. We know what is so racist, sexist, anti-Semitic that it basically incites violence for so clearly singling out and dehumanizing a vulnerable group. Yeah, I agree. It's incitement, but my first comment was just that there's a high legal bar. Yeah, no, I know that. And it's one that's protected by the American First Amendment. Notice how it's always protected by the First Amendment, but it's never like anti-government protests that have that same fucking legal bar, you know? Anti-government protests, anti-police protests are met with like state violence all the fucking time.
And anti-Semitic tweets soared more than 61%, according to groups that monitor online hate. Musk pushing back, calling reports of rising hate speech utterly false, and tweeting hate speech impressions continue to decline despite significant user growth. This morning, Ye's Twitter account remains suspended after being banned Thursday night. Musk writing, "I tried my best. Despite that, he again violated our rule against incitement to violence. Account will be suspended." Are you surprised that Elon found that line in the sand?
Everybody has their line. For Elon,
yeah, everybody has their line. Exactly, everybody has their line. And for Elon, it was when Ye posted a fucking photo of it was Ari Emanuel hosing Elon's naked body down on a fucking yacht. Okay, that's what his line was. He's like, "This is violence."
it seems to be relatively capricious, seems to be based on his feelings in the moment.
But analysts worry that while one famous user is being punished, the real danger now has an open platform.
So Musk says the decision to allow Ye back on the platform in the first place had nothing to do with him and was made well before he took over. No word yet on the estimated length of that ban, though. Guys,
all right.
Thank you.
Steve Patterson with a story a lot of folks are talking about. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
There's no place for that kind of anti-Semitism. Nope. And as has been said many times before, silence obviously is complicity.
Elon's line is what hurts his pockets. He'll eventually reinstate most of Twitter's OG rules because he won't get advertised otherwise. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Tucker Carlson covered the very serious story